Bojo, and welcome back to Indigenous Storytime. I am reading today from Berry Magic. This book was written by Terri Sloat and Betty Huffman. It was also illustrated by Terri Sloat. Let's get started. Long ago, before your grandmother's memory, before the salmon berries and the raspberries, before the cranberries and the blueberries, there was only little black crowberries on the tundra. They grew like dots on the tops of hills. Every fall, the old woman grumbled about the crowberries. These berries are so dry. These berries have no taste. These berries are not even worth picking. But they picked them anyway, for there had to be Akutuq, Inuit ice cream for the fall feast, and it had to be filled with berries. Anana watched the old woman. She liked the way the brightly trimmed kuspuks decorated the tundra, and while she watched them, a plan grew in her mind. As soon as Anana was home, she took down her sewing bag her grandmother had given her. Inside, she found everything she needed to make 4 little dolls dressed in fur parkas. She even found 4 tiny scraps of cloth colored red, blue, orange, and rose. She made the first doll quickly, stuffing it with dry grass. After stitching pieces of squirrel skin together for its parka, she tied the piece of red cloth around its head for a bladuq. She made the second doll more slowly, filling it with soft moss. She dressed it in muskrat fur, trimming it with blue beads. The dangles of blue beads matched the little doll's blue bladuq. Anana made the third doll carefully. Filling it with reindeer hair, she dressed it in a parka of fine reindeer skin. She placed the doll in the window, letting the setting sun paint an orange glow on its cheeks that matched the bladuq tied around its head. Anana made the last doll with much joy. She lovingly filled it with goose down, covered its plump body with warm fox skin, and stitched together a tiny pair of sealskin mukluks for its feet. Finally, she strung a necklace of rosy beads around its neck to match its bladuq. She looked at the doll and slowly drew in her breath. "Aline," she murmured, for she was pleased. Then, Anana wrapped the dolls in her fancy parka, placing them inside her reindeer skin bag along with her dance fans. When the moon began to rise, she carried the bag up a nearby hill. With every step, her load became heavier. At last, Anana reached the crowberries at the top of the hill. She turned in a circle and looked all around her at the vast, moonlit tundra. When it was time, she untied her bag and slipped the parka over her head. Then, Anana began to dance. Snuggling the ruff around her face, she sang, "Atsia, Atsia, Atsakina." That means, "Berry, berry, be a berry." Anana peeked down at her bag, and out wiggled a little girl dressed in squirrel skins and wearing a bright red bladuq. The girl went tumbling down the hill past the crowberries, leaving dots of tasty red cranberries shining in the moonlight. Anana sang again, "Atsia, Atsia, Atsukina." Out of the bag skipped another little girl with blue beads dangling from her muskrat parka. She wore a blue bladuq. While Anana danced, the little girl leaped over the crowberries, past the cranberries. She rolled head over heels through the bushes below, leaving clusters of juicy blueberries wherever she went. Anana danced faster, singing louder. Atsia, Atsia, Atsokina. A happy girl dressed in reindeer skins and wearing an orange blood duck popped from the bag. She jumped over the crowberries, sprang over the cranberries, and bounced over the blueberries. She hopped across the boggy grass from hummock to hummock, leaving a trail of tangy salmon berries on long stems. Knowing there was still one doll left in the bag, Anana shouted with excitement, Atsia! But she was too loud, and the last little girl was shy. Anana lowered her voice a little bit and called, Atsia! But the last little girl was still too shy, so Anana whispered in her kindest voice, Atsakina. The plump little girl blushed and smiled at Anana as she peeked out from the bag with her rosy beads flying. She gave a great leap beyond the crowberries and the cranberries, beyond the blueberries and the salmon berries, and into the grass at the bottom of the hill. While Anana finished her dance, sweet rosy raspberries peeked out from the shadows. Anana's heart was overflowing with joy as she hurried home. While the moon was still shining, berries spread from hill to hill, and by morning, the tundra was covered with red, blue, orange, and rosy berries. Anana woke early and filled her baskets with berries for the fall feast. That night, the old woman couldn't get enough of the berry-filled Akutuq. While Anana danced, she heard them saying, These berries are so juicy. These berries are so tasty. Aling, these berries are like magic. Even the grumpiest woman was smiling. Anana smiled too. And from that day until now, Anana's berries have filled the Akutuq at every fall festival. This book is nice because it also includes a recipe, so you can make your own Akutuq. Migwetch, thank you for joining us for another Indigenous story time. We'll be back with another book soon.